Hello, hello, hello. I am not particularly in the mood for doing a reading today, just simply because I'm feeling a bit unwell. I've got a bit of a sore throat. I'm not sure how well I am projecting right now. So I'm probably just going to do the one pile today. I felt like I really needed to show up today because, after all, sometimes the days that we make excuses and say, I don't feel like doing it, well, they're probably the days we need to do it the most. In this circumstance, of course, I would have an excuse. I do have a sore throat, but rather than just throwing in the towel and accepting this reading could not happen, what I'm going to do is make a compromise and change up my habits a little bit. So, the channel message today is, of course, we should have boundaries, and when we are feeling under the weather, we shouldn't pressure ourselves to work too hard. But at the same time, I think that Spirit wants you to know that movement is important. So when you are feeling under the weather, rather than decide to rest completely, and by that, rest can mean many things. It doesn't mean that you have to treat yourself like you are on your deathbed. You just need to actually listen to your body. So rather than doing two pick a pile, I'm only going to do one message today. And if it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. It isn't for everyone. But I'm really getting that it's really important for you to put in the effort and show up. Even if you're not showing up as your best self, the message is know when you can still show up. It's like sometimes it's better to show up for work just to be sent home rather than for other people to make assumptions about you that you are not a hard worker. So that's what I'm getting for your quick channeled message. Now, does that mean that you should push yourself when you're not feeling well? You know your limits, but sometimes we tend to assume that when we are unwell or under the weather, that we are less capable than we actually are. And what I'm telling you is, your guides want you to know at this particular time you are more capable than you think that you are. You may feel unwell, maybe a physical illness, you may be recovering from something respiratory or viral, or you could just be feeling under the weather mentally. You may be feeling lethargic, you may have less activity or feel like less activity. Maybe you signed yourself up for all of these obligations when you're feeling really extroverted, and now that you are feeling burnt out, maybe you're like, well, I don't feel like showing up to anything, I don't feel like showing up at all. And what is really important is that you do show up, but you get to choose what you show up for and you prioritize what is important to you. So I'm going to take a few cards today. It's the magic of you, oral. Oral. I wonder what's on my mind. I'll be drawing a couple of cards from the magic of you oracle. Oh, there's already a card that's jumped out. And it really, yeah, resilience and doable. So that really feeds into the message of don't give up, decide what is doable. So you may have to readjust your goals. You are resilient. You can show up for work, but you may not be able to put in the amount of work that you are used to due to your current limitations. And be open and honest about those limitations with other people, because ultimately they would prefer that you be open and honest. They have the ability to show that they are understanding of your situation. Sorry, Mozzie there. Whoosh. Yes, because I'm really seeing with the resilience, I'm really noticing the fire around her feet. There's almost, yeah, so there's kind of witch imagery there. So you may be a person who's kind of solitary, keeps to themselves. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're a person who's used to helping themselves and not being open about when you actually need help, because as the card says, you're quite resilient, you're quite independent, you're able to do a lot of things yourself. Okay, it says burn away the past, so I feel compelled to mention that there may be a past event that is feeding back on itself. That's why here, like like a cycle is coming back around, and so this may be a source of apprehension for you. It may be wearing you down mentally, and maybe those mental health related issues are impacting you in a very physical way where you have lower immunity, and so it's just that cascading effect, and you're not being honest with how those traumatic past events or difficult past events, perhaps of an emotional nature, are creating real world physical wounds. I hear impetigo, a good sign to look out for that you are under mental stress, and this may sound counterintuitive, but a good indicator of your mental distress is in the areas of skin immunity. You may be prone to getting so you like organisms that usually are totally fine and live on your body become opportunistic pathogens, and you break out in sores maybe, and you may feel really run down. Okay, so but the other card that came out with this resilience is some of the tasks that you may not feel like doing because you are unwell are actually within your ability. They are doable. Don't try and take on a full load. That's not what I'm saying. Don't try and continue to press on per usual, because that's why you're feeling run down in the first place. However, what I am saying, what I am telling you is that if you are very selective and prioritize certain things, you don't have to fall behind as much as, don't be overwhelmed by the idea that you have to drop everything and not do anything because you are sick, because that will actually contribute to the sickness I'm hearing. You need to go, okay, these particular things that I would normally do are low priority. So do these particular tasks. I know that these tasks are essential right now. So I'm really seeing that reorganizing and scheduling is essential right now. So even if you are forced to take a break due to mental health or physical illness, really use this time to plan, so when you come back, so you're not dreading going back when you are better, because then it will just create that cycle of being ill again, and being ill may in fact become rewarding to you. That's an interesting idea. The idea that being sick could become rewarding if it means that you get to get out of the incredibly stressful circumstances you find yourself in as the work piles up. Okay, so what else? I'm just putting these cards to the side. So there are 4 other cards that came out. Okay, euphoria, honor yourself, vertigo, whatever you choose will be correct. Minimus, commune with the source. Tangibility, make your dreams real. So given the channeled message, what I am focusing on is the idea of prioritizing and scheduling is something that like seems really, it seems like it's the really yucky work, having to plan and to organize, because it's you haven't actually done anything. It feels like busy work and you haven't achieved your goals, but it's because you're not seeing the potential in the amount of time you could save because you haven't saved it yet. So what I'm getting for this group is that you need to prioritize scheduling so you can actually slow down and rest and heal yourself, and also enjoy the healing process, because after all, you don't want this process where you are resting to heal because you are sick to be all focusing on how sick you are and how much work you're going to have to do when you get better. So use this time to schedule and reorganize as a way to take control back and to visualize how much easier life is going to be, the potential of how much more calm and how much more rest potential you will have when you are more organized. So don't focus on the negative, the loss aversiveness where you're going, oh, well, it's just like more time that I don't have time to be more organized. And I'm saying that this reorganization of your time, so and to be meticulous in your scheduling and to be strong in your boundaries, because some of the time, our employers can ask a little bit too much of us outside of work hours. And if that is you, where you do a lot of work outside work hours, or at least you're like in tune with the needs of your employer outside of work hours, give yourself permission to switch off at a certain time. So if your work day finishes at 4 o'clock, but you do actually need to do additional work outside of those hours, well, only give yourself permission to extend your work day 1 hour past your official clock off time. So you're not endlessly ruminating and it doesn't come into your nighttime and your rest period. Because I feel that for some of you, it's interfering with your pleasure. It's interfering with your time where you're supposed to be focusing on something else. You're supposed to be honoring yourself and your needs. Vertigo is whatever you choose will be correct. So the key is really your prioritization, your organization and your prioritization. Whatever you choose to focus on will be correct, but do not choose every single door to open. Pick one task and stick with that to completion. So when you are reorganizing and you are creating a schedule, make sure that you stick to that schedule meticulously. Don't go, oh, well, on this particular time, this task didn't work out as much as I thought it would, so this would be a better time to do this particular task. No. If that particular task cannot be done and you could do something else with your time, I want you to honor yourself, come back to honoring yourself, and use that time as brief rest. Tangible, keep things tangible. So you need to be able to see results. Don't keep everything theoretical. Maybe you're a person and maybe that's why you're really dreading being able to be organized, because like it's locked in that theoretical space. But with tangible, with organizing things, that's about making your tasks more, like the completion of tasks more tangible. So it's not like on to the next one, on to the next one. Once you've actually completed something, you've completed it and you can say, that's it, that task is done, I can let that go, now I can have my free time. Minimus. And so there's actually a movement and where it's talking about minimum effort. Now that's what I'm not advocating for minimum effort when it comes to your career. But what I am advocating for is you need to not see your hard work as the minimum standard, because there are some people that do literally the bare minimum and they still get paid. And so what I'm really getting is when you take it easy and you create that rest space for yourself, be sure that you don't go, oh, well, I'm doing the bare minimum. You are just creating more space for yourself. Don't feel guilt about feeling like you have more free time, that you are not working the hardest. It's all about working smart, not working hard. Okay? So do not forget that. Do not forget, sorry if you can hear my daughter, she's very excited. But it's all about being smart with your time. Like, just because you are not burning yourself out does not mean you're not working hard. So that's all I have for you today, because my throat is sore. And so I thought I would put in, I would show up. You know what? I will take one card from the Angel Numbers deck. Okay, so the card that fell out was 666. Now I know that people associate that with negative things like the devil's number and whatnot. What it actually is related to in numerology is like It's the universal number of love, love, affection, compassion. So you need to have more love and compassion. You need to have more love and compassion for yourself. You are working too hard for other people, and it's coming at the expense of your health and your well-being. You need to value yourself. In order to be the best that you can be, sometimes you actually have to say, that is enough work for me, thank you very much. And if you are showing up for work and you're always punctual and you're always on time and you're always completing work, and you find that despite completing the work to a high standard, that if you were to perform better and then your employer were to put more weight on your shoulders for the same salary, well, then perhaps you need to be looking for another job, especially if it's degrading your health, whether that be mental or physical. And I'm really getting strongly that perhaps there's been some kind of event in the past where you, whether it be a relationship, a partner, an employer, where you've been unwell, and now you feel, and now you are made to feel that because they had to pick up the pieces back then, that you somehow have to owe them something. You owe them something, and you don't. I just want to assure you that when people take care of us when we are unwell, that is because they are showing us love, and it shouldn't be a tit for tat. Like if you've worked really, really hard for your employer and you've put in extra work, but then you feel sick, and then they allow you sick leave, that's not them, that's an entitlement that you have built up due to the fact that you have put in the extra effort, and the extra effort has resulted in the degradation of your health because of what you have done for them. So them then giving you sick leave because you've worked so hard for them isn't them doing a favor for you. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope you understand that. And so if you couldn't always put in what you needed to into the relationship because it was a lot of work at the beginning, you worked really, really hard to make a particular relationship work. You don't owe this person now that you are better, or you don't. You haven't accumulated a debt, or at least you shouldn't have. Is what I'm getting. My feeling is that the right people, it's okay to receive sometimes it's okay to receive, and the right people will understand and support you in your time of need, just as you have for them. So I hope that has made sense to you. I hope it has been helpful to you, and thank you very much. Hello.